Now, at this point, I thought, right, you need to do something about this. And I had actually already been in touch with an organization called Every Doctor. Every Doctor is a campaigning organization fighting for patients, staff, and the future of the NHS. So I got in touch with the CEO of Every Doctor. I briefly told her my story, and she said to me, right, I'll get you in touch with my team. She then got me in touch with, and I would call her Dr. M, right? Dr. M is a doctor, and she's also a barrister, okay? So
Two in one.
two in one. The Dr. M knew what was going on. So when I got this restriction letter, the September one, I reached back out to Dr. M and I said, right, this is something seriously not right here. Can you please help me? She said, right, can you please send me all the restriction letters and also your letter of complaint against that doctor, and let me write to your employer. What M then did was, she went through my statement, took out all the kind of the finer detail, looked at the restriction letters and the allegations, and then produced this 17-page document, which she sent to the lead employer, okay? Basically outlining the allegations and how there's no evidence and how I deny it, and then concludes the letter by stating that, they need to get me back to work, and how this had been a very traumatic and stressful experience for me, and how it affected my mental health, how it had delayed my training, and how this had caused me financial loss, and that, at this point, they should get me back to my training post, to get me back to work. Okay? This document is dated the 17th of October 22, right? Now, from the 22nd of September to the 17th of October 22, which I'd say is, 3 weeks, he states that these are these clinical concerns, and he's also put in that letter that he's going to hand these over to the head of school to discuss in an educational meeting, right? So in that time period, we're trying to now organise an educational meeting to address the concerns. I've still not had sight of what these concerns are, right? Again, it was a bit confusing for me because the head of school had already seen this letter of complaint I had written. At no point does she raise any concerns from my letter, and she's had it since March. Yet now you're saying, after reading it, that there's concerns, but you're going to hand them over to the head of school to deal with the concerns. Okay, fine. So the head of school did get in contact with me at the end of September and tries to organise a meeting to address these concerns. For one reason or the other, we don't get to meet up. We then scheduled to meet in October. But by this point, before that meeting takes place, Dr. M has now sent this letter to lead employer. As soon as the medical director sees this letter, I get a phone call from HR saying that the medical director has now taken the decision to revoke my restrictions and I can now go back to work. At that point, I thought, right, what has actually happened? What's happened between the 22nd of September and now for him to change his mind? Because this letter doesn't add anything extra. It essentially just outlines what I've already written, but takes out a lot of the emotive bit and just goes through his restriction letters. So what's actually changed? Because I've still not admitted to anything. There's still no evidence, and he states that he's still not satisfied that I won't carry out the behaviour. How is he now satisfied, right? At that point, I thought, well, something clearly isn't being done properly here. So I said, okay, fine, thank you for letting me go back to work.